All right, Aries, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for July 2015. My name is Athen. So let's go ahead and look at your chart. We've got a full moon right on the 1st of July in this ninth house of yours, which is, of course, about life path, expansion, adventure, the adventurous spirit of life, and anything that does expand our horizons, such as philosophy, university, things like this. So particularly anything over the past 6 months that you've been putting energy into in this particular part of your chart can be a culmination point of those things, but in either case, having an awareness of that. It's also a culmination of perhaps some new beginnings around the material or financial side of things from the middle part of last month when you had the new moon in the second house. Now, this full moon in particular is going to be very transformative. It's happening within 5 degrees of Pluto and of Mars. So here, Mars naturally ruling Scorpio and Pluto a secondary ruler of Scorpio. This is about transformation, and that's going to be the case for all of us. So it's bringing in the transformative energies. Being willing to change is really a big part of this month, particularly with your philosophy, your life path, anything on that ninth house level, such as travel or expansion. And also the third house too, because as we come into this month, your ruler and the sun will be here in the third house, and this is where we're going to have a new moon. So in regards to the third house, especially on the 5th and 6th, when Pluto opposes up to the sun here in your third house, this is bringing in the energies of transformation, bringing in the truth, and it's through your communications, because the third house is all about what we're communicating, what we are thinking. And here what we want to do is we want to communicate with truth, speak with truth, think and see the truth and be willing to. And this, again, might have to do with life. It might have to do with our philosophy. But in either case, the more willing we are, in this sense for you, to see the truth and speak the truth in a balanced way, of course, then we're in harmony with this type of aspect, with this opposition, because the oppositions are always about bringing that energy into it. And this whole thinking and communicating, speaking, interacting, writing area is going to be certainly highlighted for you this month with the new moon, and then, of course, your ruler here in the third house as well. Now, also on the 1st, we've got Venus conjuncting up to Jupiter here in your 4th house of home and family, of past, of your emotional body. This is a nice placement for Venus, at least in the house sector, because she likes to be in the 4th house. And this can mean, because Venus does rule your 7th house of relationships and your 2nd house of values and finances, perhaps some opportunities relating to those things that you may have noticed towards the end of July while this was an orb. But it is going exact this month, and I think for at least the first few days, seeing those opportunities, whether it's relationship value or home and family related, would be quite nice. Now, on the 5th and 6th, with that opposition from Pluto and the sun, we've got Saturn going back into your 7th house. So over the past few years, Saturn's been transiting your 7th house of relationships, of one-on-one connections. He recently went out of there towards the end of last year, but now he's going back because of his retrograde position. So if there's anything you're having to finish up or rework or redo or format some more systems, some more structures in the relationship side of things, or with sales or with legal matters or anything else at 7th house, this is the last time to do it. This will be the last retrograde into the 7th house. And this is a nice placement for Saturn, both in sign position and likes to be in the 7th house. So think back over the past few years, whatever that is, for the next couple months, reworking, recreating those systems and structures and putting in that discipline and responsibility, perhaps, in relation to those one-on-one connections. Now, on the 8th, we've got Mercury shifting signs. He's going to be going into your 3rd house, further emphasizing the thoughts and communications. A lot of this energy here. One thing, too, that's standing out to me is that your ruler, Mars, and the sun, for this matter, like to be at the top of the chart, where they're at their full, most potential. So here, it's not that they can't have their full potential, but it doesn't come natural to them because they want to be in like the 10th house, which is about career and public things. But here at the bottom of the chart, it's not natural for Mars to be working with writing, to be working with communicating and speaking and these types of things. Although that's exactly what we want to do. So if you are noticing that your energies are lower, especially with your passion and maybe even creativity or vigorous energy with the sun as well, It's because the energy just needs to be channeled in a much more subtle way, which again is, I think, focusing on the communication, writing. This is an excellent month for picking up the book, maybe taking a class, maybe starting a book, writing a book, journaling, things of this nature, even creative too, because the sun naturally does rule creativity and your 5th house. So reflect on that. But I mean, any energy, you may have already been involved with these things since the beginning of the month with your ruler already here. But whatever it is, I think putting in the energy in the subtle way, taking it slow, and knowing that it is perhaps a low period for most of you. It'll depend on your personal chart, but in relation for your ruler, so for most of you, Aries. Now, on the 15th, we've got the new moon happening in that 3rd house. And that Mercury, by the way, through this time period, will be showing you quite a bit. And this is where the practical side of Mercury really comes into action. With Mercury ruling Virgo, we want to improve. We want to work at this particular area of life. So I really recommend, along with putting energy and action into those things, also consider perhaps how you can improve your communication skills, how you can improve how you think, how you communicate, how you speak, even write, anything like that. That'll be a good utilization of Mercury. And again, in that truthful way, in that transformative way, which is, of course, Pluto. And one thing about Pluto, too, is it's got to come from compassion. It's got to come from the heart center there. So yeah, the new moon here in the 3rd house around the 15th, reflect on these things. And then as the moon starts to fill up energy, it'll become more clear, perhaps what these new beginnings are, whether it's a book, a course, or whatever it is. And put energy into that for the second half of the month. Now, Venus is going to be shifting signs, going into your 5th house here on the 15th as well. So here, it's all about enjoying life. The 5th house is about your self-expression. It's about creativity. It's about anything that puts a smile on your face. So Venus here can be enjoying these things. So I really recommend it, especially the creative side of things. That can be a nice energy to work on. She's going to be here for a long time because she's going to go retrograde here on the 25th and 26th. So perhaps there's some things to reconsider, to redo, or to rethink about in relation to your connection to life, your connection to, and this is very synonymous with the 9th house too, your connection to your self-expression and creativity and enjoying that and connecting to that. And also finding out that relationships can be very fun, very lighthearted and playful because Venus naturally rules your 7th house, even the values and resource side of things. So I think the 5th house, putting energy into that will be quite nice and quite enjoyable. That's the enjoyment for you this month in particular with Venus. Now, also on the 15th, Mercury conjoins up to your ruler Mars here in the 3rd house. So here your communications and your thinking can be very direct. And when this happens, right when they go conjunct, they'll be opposing up to Pluto, interestingly enough. So Pluto is, of course, like I've been saying, it's the ego killer. It transforms. It gets rid of all of our attachments. So here, this is the kind of energy this month where you want to be as non-attached as possible, be willing to change, and to, again, come from compassion, because the energies of Pluto work the best when we are other-oriented and we're helping others. And, it's something greater than ego, greater than self. But if it becomes too much about us, then that's where it can become very, very destructive, very transformational in a sense that it can be difficult because we're wanting one thing, but then it's not flowing, it's not happening because we're wanting it too much. So having that non-attached perspective, then things will naturally flow. But in relation to working with Pluto, really being other-oriented is a really good way to work with that. So I recommend that with maybe these things that you might be very direct about with your communications or with your thoughts, particularly mid-month around the 15th. But in either case, yeah, be very direct, in a balanced way, be direct, be straight, communicate very intently. Now on the 22nd and 23rd, the sun then will be conjoining up to that Mercury. So here the energies shift though, right when this happens. Right when they go conjunct, they go into your 4th house. So here, there's something shifting here around the 22nd, 23rd in relation to home and family, the past, the roots, perhaps a similar energy from earlier in the month that you perhaps were enjoying. But in either case, this part of your life there should be some opportunities there. With Jupiter's been transiting there for about a year now, so there it can be, you know, opportunistic. You're probably lighthearted, probably seeing the opportunities, the available things in your life relating to home, family, and past. And so with Mercury combust over the sun, this is where Mercury catches fire. It becomes very passionate, very vigorous, very attentive on what we're thinking about and communicating. But here, it's coming from the emotional side of things. So communicating from your feelings, expressing yourself from your feelings, thinking about home, thinking about past, your roots. This is where the energies will be in flow for you. And this is also where you're going to have the new moon shaping up for you next month as well. So so there's a shift there, and that shift is into the home and family sector towards the last week of this month. Now on the 25th and 26th, while Venus goes retrograde in that fifth house of yours, Uranus goes retrograde at about the same time. So with any of this understanding or redoing you might be involved with the creative or expressive side of things, Uranus retrograde in the 12th can suggest perhaps reflecting on for the next 6 months your spiritual side of things, how spirituality is meant to be free. It's meant to free you up. It's meant to help you be yourself. That's what Uranus has been showing you here transiting the 12th house for many years. And this has been an area of releasing for you too this year with all the eclipse energy and everything that we had. So reflecting on that, reflecting on the tranquil, connective, spiritual side of things in terms of how you can free yourself up and have more excitement in that area over the next 6 months will certainly be a good reflection and utilization of this. Now on the 31st, we have another full moon. So we have 2 full moons this month. This full moon is happening in your 10th house of work and career and everything on that public level. So anything over the past 6 months that you've been involved with that area can be a culmination point. But in either case, again, as always, seeing the fruition and seeing that part of your chart very clearly, and also seeing perhaps the home and family stuff very clearly as well. And then, like I said, in 2 weeks, next month, you'll have a new moon in that 4th house of past, emotional body, and things like that. But in either case, the second half of the month, particularly the last week, I think you might notice a highlight of the career and work-related things in relation to that. So all in all, Aries, your ruler transiting the 3rd house this month with all of that emphasis on your 3rd house of communications, really emphasizing that. It's good to focus on that. It's good to bring in that Pluto energy to where it's coming from compassion. It's true. It's real. It's raw. It's communicating things in a way that maybe things need to be said, but in a way where it's compassionate, right? So we're not just saying whatever comes to mind and just expressing ourselves, because that could be very destructive. It's really a month for you to really bring that conscious energy, conscious attention to what you're saying, how you're saying it, and anything else relating to even how you're thinking about things. And it can be very, very, very powerful when, again, it's coming from the right place. So I think that's going to be the emphasis. I think relationships are going to be another emphasis with Saturn going into the 7th house. And then I also think enjoyment can certainly be had in relation to your relationships, but other areas of your life as well, with Venus in your 5th house. So Aries, this was a general look at the overall planets in the sky. If you'd like a more personal look, please get in touch for a reading at masteringthezodiac.com. You can click the link there. I hope you guys have a nice week, and I'll talk to you all next time. Take care.